So hello there everyone, and welcome back to the second episode of this series. And in this video, we're going to dive in and start creating a video game. And specifically in this video, we're going to learn how to create a code that will result in a command where if you click that command, your character will jump up and down. So let's get right into this. So we're now in the Unity engine. And this is the project panel, and if you want to learn how to open the projects and how to download Unity and asset stores, just watch my last video on this series. It will explain everything you need to know. So again, I already downloaded assets, and if you want to learn how to download assets, just watch my previous video on it. It will tell you everything you need to know. So once we have our assets, we can just click on those assets. So I'm going to click on them. And voila, you have a bunch of characters right there for you. And to create our actual video game and start creating it, again, our goal today is to create a character that will jump when we click the space bar. To do that specific command, we need to create something known as a game object. To create a game object, we just need to create an empty. So create an empty, and voila, a game object is right there. So we can name that game object whatever we want. I'm going to name it Tom, right? So Tom. And what we can do is we can click on our game object and click on Add Component. And again, the purpose of a game object is to manipulate assets. So we need to first add our asset into the game object. And to do that, all we need to do is we need to go to Add Component, click on Sprite Renderer, and voila, you have your sprite. And now I can just do is add our asset or character into the sprite section. And now if we look back to the game view, we see that we have a character right there. So the next thing we need to do is go back to the inspector panel, and we need to add a component as Richard Body 2D. This is the physics component of your character, meaning it gives your character gravity-like aspects, which basically allow your character to basically fall down or go up. The other component we're going to add is known as a Circle Collider 2D. This basically manipulates your character in order to interact with other assets. The final component we're going to talk about today is the script component, basically the coding component of your game. And I'm going to name my script Tom Script, and I'm going to create and add it, and then I'm going to go back to my assets, and I'm going to open up. So let it load first. All right. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to open this up, and it's going to open up Visual Studios. And I'm going to click on Visual Studios. Let's see if it works. Yeah. Okay, so it's going to open this up, and it might take a couple of seconds to load. And once it's loaded, we have now a code that's in C#. And since we're focusing mainly on trying to make our character jump, we need to manipulate the, again, component known as Richard Body 2D, right? Which I did talk about a couple of minutes ago. Or if I go refer back to it, it's basically this component. So this one. This is what we need to manipulate in our code. And to do that, we first need to refer that into our code. And to do that, under public class, you just need to write public Richard Body 2D my Richard Body. So what basically is that we're referring the Richard Body 2D, and in the script we're going to call it my Richard Body, or the code basically. So we're renaming this in the code as my Richard Body. So once you did that, we're going to file and save our code. We're going to go back to Unity, and it's going to load the code. And then underneath the script section, there should be a new option. So let's open this up again, Command 3. And voila, you can see now my Richard Body is now referred to your Richard Body 2D, and we just need to add that to our Richard Body, and now your game object is now connected to the code. So go back to the code, and now underneath that, we're going to write public float flap strength. So NGTH, and then a semicolon. And what public float flap strength basically is, the flap strength again is another thing that's going to be added to your script. And what's going to happen is that it's going to be an option. So flap strength basically allows your character, the height of your character. So basically you can manipulate flap strength in whatever number you want. And let's say if it's like 10 or 20, then the jump will be way much higher than, let's say, when you have a 5 flap strength, your jump will be much more lower, the height of the jump basically. So once you have that, you will now go to your void update section, and you're going to write if input dot get key down, and then you're going to add another parentheses and write key code dot space, and then you're going to write here 2 equal signs and then a lowercase true. Then you're going to add 2 spaces down here, and then you're going to refer back to your myRichardBody. So let's refer back to that. Then you're writing dot velocity, so velocity, right? Then you're going to equal that to vector 2 dot up, which refers to your jump. And then we're going to times that by your flap strength, which is the height of your jump. So, and then another semicolon. And voila, your code is done. And we're going to save this code, and pretty much that's it. So you're done with that. So it's going to load all this code up. So it'll load. And then if we go back to Unity, it should again load everything. Okay, so it's loaded, it looks as if. And now we're going to go here back to our inspector panel. You can see flap strength is now 0. So your height of a jump is 0. I'm going to make my height of the jump 10. All right, for this video specifically. Oh, okay, what happened right there? Okay, yeah, 10. So now once we did that, we can click play on our game view. It's going to load all the code we just added. And now, if I click spacebar, you can see now it jumps. I can click spacebar many times and jumps that many times. And this is the first part of our video game. We have officially created a video game mechanic, the jumping mechanic, which you've probably seen in many video games. So I'm going to click spacebar and it jumps. So that's how you create the spacebar mechanic in your video game. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next video, we're going to focus more on adding backgrounds and characters and so on and so forth. So please wait for that video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you next time.